Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel, Football Therapy, with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Of course, welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series here on the channel, where we reflect on what's being said about Chelsea, giving you my opinion on it. More importantly, asking for yours, reaching out to you guys, finding out what the collective footballing fan community thinks of said stories. Today, we're talking about a whole load of stuff. As silly season progresses on, soars on, updates regarding Matthijs de Ligt from several different journalists. Nathan Ake update. Nick Pule talking about Raheem Sterling and Rafinha still on the cards, I guess. And an update from Matt Law in the Telegraph as well, written by himself, Ian Whitwell, and Sam Dean. Lots to get into. Please do drop a like to show support. Thank you for doing that. Takes a click and it makes me feel good. You are, of course, all welcome to subscribe. And should you choose to do so, hit that bell, baby. Oh, yeah. You know what feels good? Thomas Tuchel coming back to pre-season. Check this out. Here he is, smiling, looking good in the training gear, saying something about how everyone's wearing blue, giving Callum Hudson-Odoi a big cuddle, giving Harvey Vale a big cuddle after winning the Euros, captaining the Euros win. Believe that's Ruben Loftus-Cheek being cropped out. Everyone feeling good. Happy times. Cool. Good to go and dominate. Problem is, we don't have that many good players. There is a problem. Obviously, star striker has gone back to Milan, Ziyech going to Milan, AC Milan, and loads of defenders have gone. We have a problem. We need signings. And by all account, we will make signings. We are going to talk about defenders. We need defenders, of course. But let's start off with some of this article on the Telegraph from the aforementioned journalists. It's, of course, referencing Cristiano Ronaldo. Ugh. Okay. Todd Boehly will check with Thomas Tuchel whether or not he wants Chelsea to make a bid for Cristiano Ronaldo as the club attempts to wrap up a move for Raheem Sterling ahead of the squad's departure for their US tour. Now, it's good for Boehly that he's offering this. Just covering all bases. Look, I know you're all this way inclined as a coach and you want these kind of players, etc., etc., etc. But, you know, I'm new here. I want to give you these big opportunities. And even if, in my opinion, it's a dangerous potential signing, Boehly wants to offer Tuchel this opportunity to sign Cristiano Ronaldo. He probably thinks him the Brady or whatever, like, opportunity in soccer, you know. So yeah, it's good that he's offering the opportunity. Because, of course, Ronaldo has informed Man United that he wants to leave this summer, which will prompt Chelsea co-owner Boehly, who is acting as sporting director, to discuss the Portuguese with head coach Thomas Tuchel. Of course, he didn't report to training yesterday, and he hasn't again today. Big Ronaldo, CR7. And they're meant to be going to Thailand soon, Manchester United, and they would have planned for Ronaldo to be there. You know, when you go in these pre-season tours, it's a big marketing PR exercise. And if you are the owner of Cristiano Ronaldo as a player, you want him to be there. Sure, you know, they'll be very frustrated he's not. He's basically doing a Thibaut Courtois on them. Tuchel is a known admirer of Ronaldo, and, you know, in the same way I think everyone is, because you have to admire a player like Ronaldo. But the Telegraph Sport understands the German is yet to discuss this with Todd Boehly, whether or not he would actually want to sign the 37-year-old, 38 next season, of course, and whether or not he believes he could fit into the team and style of play. Everything indicates no. And yes, I know many of you would be like, are saying right now, Yan, you know, Reece James crosses in the box, Ronaldo scores. True, but you got to think beyond that. Some sources have indicated that Tuchel will tell Boehly that he would be wary of signing Ronaldo and that the priority must be up to 3 new defenders as well as Sterling. Of course, I agree. To be honest, even if after Sterling, you'll need probably another attacker. Well, it's dependent on how we stand on Armando Broja. We could talk about him as well, of course. You know what? Let's quickly talk about Broja now, because I don't think I lined up an article here. We'll pause this. We'll come back in a second. West Ham have offered £25 million for Armando Broja, plus $5 million in bonuses if they qualify for Europe. So rising up to £30 million sterling, which is a pretty strong offer for a youngster. Obviously had a decent season at Southampton. Chelsea, of course, and quite rightly, want to assess him in pre-season. Tuchel does, much like, I don't know, Gilmore, and of course Levi Colwill is a big one. I think Gallagher's pretty safe in the squad, but Broja is certainly one of them. Many of you will say, well, okay, if West Ham really do want Armando Broja as a forward, then he should be integrated and involved in a deal for Declan Rice, which reportedly, as things stand, West Ham are not entertained on doing. Ideally, I don't really want to lose Broja, but I would like to sign Declan Rice. We'll see what happens there. Anyway, I wanted to give an update on that. Let's jump back in on this. Boehly has met with Ronaldo's agent, Jorge Mendes, of course, in Portugal, I believe it was, but will not sign any players. Any player of his head coach does not want. Sorry, let me read that again. But will not sign any player his head coach does not want. Ah, that's helpful. Don't just randomly sign players, because that's what Chelsea have done in the past, or does not believe is the right fit for his squad, effectively giving him the right to veto on any signing, which is like a radical new concept for Chelsea. If the manager doesn't want him, don't sign him. But it seems like it should be a starting point of how you run a football club, right? It's very strange how this is a new thing for us. While Chelsea are aware Ronaldo could leave United, they have no idea whether or not their Premier League rivals would sell to them, how much they might demand, or what the players' requirements would be. Breaking the wage structure, no doubt. Moves to source that information will only be made if Tuchel gives the green light. So if Tuchel says, yeah, I'll be interested, then you make those inquiries. Chelsea last week confirmed the departure of Romelu Lukaku on loan to Inter, and other than that, Ronaldo, it's Inter Milan, and other than Ronaldo, there's a lack of genuine out-and-out goal-scoring strikers to target, but Chelsea have targeted out-and-out goal-scoring forwards and failed over and over. And I'm not saying Ronaldo would fail, Ronaldo would score goals, but you need a team player. Tuchel always talks about being a team that fights for each other, a team of not superstars, and that's how we like it. If you want to build a team with that ethos, you don't sign Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah. So anyway, this goes on and talks about following the positive talks at the end of last week with Raheem Sterling, Chelsea hope to agree a fee, which has been reported has been agreed, which will most likely be around 45 million. We've spoken about that here on the channel before, and they want him to join in time before Chelsea leave for pre-season in America this weekend. So that is Sterling this week, in the coming days, which is pretty big. Anyway, there's more in this article about Rafinha and stuff, but I don't want to talk about that. I've read enough of that article, I think. So just to enforce the point and lay it on a little thicker, Nick Puel, here on Twitter, of course, he's a Chelsea correspondent, has written, Todd Boehly and Thomas Tuchel are expected to keep the Chelsea focus on deals for Raheem Sterling, which is very close, and Rafinha, which is still in the balance, apparently, despite discussing both Cristiano Ronaldo and Neymar internally at Chelsea. A Chelsea move for Ronaldo would be unlikely to fit the existing plan for fluidity and movement in attack. Tuchel and Neymar are understood to have a strong personal relationship, but the Brazil forward's profile may not well fit Chelsea FC's data-led transfer approach this summer. And that's the sweet, sweet words we want. Data-led transfer. You know who does fit the data-led transfer profile targetings? Rafinha. And apparently that's why Chelsea went in for him quite strongly, recently. I didn't finish watching the Premier League season as a Chelsea fan and go, you know what I want? And many did, by the way, bigger football hipsters than I did. They went, you know what Chelsea needs? Rafinha from Leeds. That's the answer to our problems. I wasn't thinking that. I thought he was a good player, but I never thought that's what we need. But Chelsea, with their new data-led metric leading system ting, they're like, yeah, this is what we want, Rafinha. So fair play, because he fits the mold, he fits the ethos, idea, philosophy, plan. Ronaldo and Neymar doesn't. So it's interesting to hear Neymar has been spoken about internally, but yeah, probably is he available on loan with subsidized wages? That's a statement signing for the new ownership, but does that actually fit the plan? Apparently not. So Ronaldo, Neymar, ding, Sterling, Rafinha. We're through the looking glass now, people. Imagine saying that like a couple of years ago. Football's weird. Little update on Nathan Ake coming from Football Insider. Essentially, sources have suggested or said Man City have told Nathan Ake that he is free to find a new club amid Newcastle and Chelsea interest. Newcastle, of course, just signed Botman, isn't it? So I'm not sure how much money. When are Newcastle going to have a magnifying glass put over them? Because they are splashing the cash. Yes, I know that Mike Ashley didn't spend money, so he actually left them in a strong position in terms of financial fair play, so the new owners could just spend cash. I believe that's the case. But after a while, this state-backed club, the richest owners in the world, when are they going to be like, all right, guys, look, you don't have an international marketing revenue here. You're not winning Premier Leagues. You're not playing in the Champions League every season. Eventually, you're going to have to not spend this money. Anyway, of course, we know Nathan Ake is a target of Thomas Tuchel. We referenced here on the channel before that Thomas Tuchel looked at Nathan Ake to sign for his Dortmund team. And of course, ad nauseum, you guys probably don't like me repeating myself, but of course, Nathan Ake is a versatile player, probably suits the Chelsea tactics and system very well, being very good for a back three system and perhaps not as good in a Pep Guardiola back four system. He can play as a centre-back in a 2, left in a 3, he can play as a conventional left-back, and indeed left wing-back. So, versatility is the kind of thing that Thomas Tuchel really likes. So we'll see what happens with Nathan Ake. It will cost probably, they want to see their money back, I think, Man City, especially selling to a Premier League rival. But he only made 27 appearances last campaign and only 10 were in the Prem in terms of starts. So he'll be fancying, if you said to him you can replace Tony Rudiger as a starter at Chelsea and develop your game in the same way Thomas Tuchel developed, Antonio Rudiger, he'll be like, yes, please. And, Matthijs de Ligt might be thinking the same thing in terms of playing in the middle, deputising for Thiago Silva. So, that might interest Ake. He's not a bad defender, to be honest. If Nathan Ake is starting a big Premier League game, I'm not going to go, oh, no, Nathan Ake starting, we're screwed. But if, we're starting an unknown quantity from a European centre-back, there will be a sense of, anticipation, anxiety, and not knowing how they're going to get stuck in. So, again, it's a bit like when I first started thinking about Sterling. It was really hard to get excited about. But, more time thinking about it, it kind of feels like, you know what? Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So we need, obviously, the article talked about, from the Telegraph talked about how we need lots of defenders. So let's stay on the subject of defenders. We're going to basically reference two journalists here, Italianos, Alfredo Padula, he's Italian, right? And Gianluca Di Marzio. And they're both talking about Juventus, so Italian team, defender Matthijs de Ligt. Big target for Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea. Let's start off with Di Marzio, see what he's saying. I don't know if this is a translated article or not, but if there is some broken, peculiar English, it is what it is, baby. First in-depth contacts took place between the Bavarians with Juventus. So this is talking about Bayern Munich, about former Ajax captain. Now, however, it's necessary to understand whether Bayern will offer the amount that Juve deems right to sell De Ligt, and whether the player will decide to accept the sale or not. The player would like the Premier League more. Ding, 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 ding. And this is first choice for Chelsea and their manager, Thomas Tuchel. In fact, Chelsea still remain interested in the young Dutch central defender, the Blues, after letting go Rudiger to Real Madrid and Christensen to Barcelona, now absolutely must secure at least one new central defender. This definitely is translated, by the way, because it's one new central defensive. And by the way, at least two, not one. In the list of defenders are Milan Skriniar, probably going off to PSG. Yeah, saying here, disputed with PSG. Kalidou Koulibaly. Look, man, we're just destined to be linked with Koulibaly every 2 to 3 years until he retires. He just won't come to Chelsea. It's just one of those weird things that happens, I think. As well as De Ligt himself, for whom remains in the running, the Juventus transfer market will also depend on the Dutchman's future and, as presumable, definitely translated. Juve absolutely does not want any counterparts in the sale for De Ligt. They don't care. That's basically insinuating They don't want Pulisic or Timo Werner. And in fact, on that, I've read that Chelsea are not willing to sell Christian Pulisic. It's funny how this has changed throughout the last 6 months. Like, definitely sell Pulisic over Werner when Werner scores a couple of goals. I'll definitely sell Werner because he'll get more money. And, you know, we've got American owners, so they want to keep Pulisic. And you know, oh yeah, but Werner's he's got a better attitude. Oh no, but Pulisic's younger. And it's been like ding, 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 to the point of Ziyech, who for a while looked like the one who should stay because in the 4-1-4-1 formation he looked great. Now everyone's like, yeah, Ziyech can definitely go. And no one, it's just so peculiar how that merry-go-round of opinion of the winger that should go or the wide forward that should go has completely changed. But it does seem like now, with the new ownership, as we get nearer to the new campaign, Pulisic will stay. So there you go. It's a little bit of like a definitive stuff there. In the meantime, we are preparing for the arrival of Paul Pogba. Oh, that's interesting. And Di Maria to Juventus. So, Bayern Munich have joined the race for Matthijs de Ligt. Let's read from Alfredo Padula. Fun fact, he's blocked me on Twitter. and if memory serves, I didn't slag him off or anything. I said is this guy reliable? I can't remember. I was asking if he was reliable in a quote, and he just blocked me for it. Fair enough, sensitive. So Alfredo Padula, not on his Twitter, which I don't have access to, but on his website, he says, again, this might be translated, we'll have to see. In the afternoon, there was contact between Juve and Chelsea to talk about Matthijs de Ligt. So the more contact, official contact now. The Blues have announced another offer that could go beyond the base of 70 million plus bonus. De Ligt is a priority for Tuchel. The Dutch pushes to go. He works to reach a base of 75 million plus bonuses. So 75 million euro plus many bonuses, but some are easily reachable as well. So this is pretty expensive, essentially. During the day, there was a poll which we've announced for Bayern. The moment Chelsea are ahead. Interesting. What do you mean a poll? Even the Dutchman likes it. What is he saying? So they've done a social media poll that Matthijs de Ligt is liked. Weird. Bild has reiterated Bayern's interest, but we are not aware of a choice made in favour of any other club. So this is going against Di Marzio, who says he favours Chelsea. Also, because it will offer Juventus on the card will make the difference. Okay, so this is peculiar translation. The release clause is 120 million euro, which I think all parties appreciate and agree will not need to be paid for the transfer of Matthijs de Ligt, especially after he's basically told Juventus he would like to go, he will not renew, he's got 2 years left on the deal, therefore he's right in the slot, the sweet spot to be sold for decent money. Now, 70 million euros plus bonus, that's pretty good business for a 22-year-old with such a high ceiling. Again, a huge potential, and Thomas Tuchel gets the best out of centre-back signings. If we sign both Nathan Ake and Matthijs de Ligt and Levi Colwill comes into the fold, we can let probably Aspi go after letting Christensen and Rudiger go. Anyway, this is a very long video, I've just realised, so I'm going to wrap it up. I am going to be following all stories. Make sure you keep it locked, turn the bell on when you subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you guys very, very soon to talk more about Chelsea news and see where we are. Cool. Peace.